And B, I just can't.
Why? Why not?
I've got to go to a museum today.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, I'm going to have to find a date.
That's right.
Have you ever driven past a place dozens of times, finally walked inside and thought, how did I not know this was here? That's exactly how I feel about the Franklin G. Burroughs-Simeon B. Chapin Art Museum right here in Myrtle Beach. It's tucked just steps from the ocean inside a building with its own fascinating story, and yet so many people still don't realize what's waiting inside. Rotating exhibits, classes, events. And right now, the museum is home to A Lasting Impression, an exhibit featuring works connected to names like Renoir, Degas, Picasso, and Mary Cassatt. But here's what makes it even more fascinating. These pieces were already here, loaned by local residents. Today on Coasting, we're talking with museum curator Liz Miller about how everyday people can enjoy this incredible space without feeling intimidated. You don't have to know the proper art words. You're allowed to be new here. So welcome in. I'm your podcast host and local Myrtle Beach area realtor, Celia Klein. It's time. We're coasting. Hi, everyone. I'd normally welcome you all to the Coasting podcast with enthusiasm and gusto, but and B, I just can't.
Why? Why not?
It's the heat.
Oh, gosh.
It's my kryptonite. You know that happy song, I'm Walking on Sunshine?
Walking on sunshine.
Yeah, that one. Okay. Well, I literally feel like I am walking on the sun itself. Okay. I mean, and with the humidity, I actually feel like not only am I walking on the sun, but it happens to be covered in like extremely like thick maple syrup.
Oh, now that's a visual.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's just disgusting.
It is disgusting.
I told you before in a previous, I just hibernate in the summer. Okay.
I got a sunburn on the way down here in the Coasting convertible, so I know what you're talking about.
You got to put the top up in the summer. I'm sorry.
But you know, there are things that we could do to help us maybe get out of the heat.
Like what?
Well, what about Music on Main in North Myrtle?
Oh, you mean like stuff at nighttime? Maybe I'd venture out at nighttime.
In the evening, it gets a little bit cooler.
True. So Music on Main, that's a classic. I mean, that's been going on at Main Street for North Myrtle for years.
It's been around since 2009.
Wow, okay.
And it's every Thursday night, and they have different local bands. One of my favorites is Julio and the Saltines.
Oh.
And
do they sound like Tony Danza? I had to ask.
A little bit different. But no, it's really a great night out. You have to be careful because of the parking, because they do it down at the Horseshoe where Main and Ocean Boulevard come together. But they close down a lot of streets. So if you're in
bring
a car,
your beach chairs, right?
Bring your beach chair. Make sure you have parking scoped out ahead of time, or take your golf cart.
That's right. That could be your chair. Exactly. Well, and we do. I mean, even though July 4th has come and gone, Myrtle Beach, well, we love our fireworks, and they go on the entire summer. True. You know, if you want to check those out, basically weekly, Broadway at the Beach, Barefoot Landing, and then the Second Avenue Pier, they've all got fireworks. So you could, you know, it's something you can actually do.
All great places.
What else?
You could go to a Pelicans game.
Okay, no. I mean, seriously, the sun coming down, you're sitting in the stands. If I'm in a air conditioned suite, absolutely.
I know somebody.
Oh, you do? Okay, all right, very good. Hook me up, Aunt B. Hook me up. So yeah, I mean, you know, places like this. I want to talk about things that are inside. Here we are, Myrtle Beach Art Museum. Do you know they have 12 air conditioning units in here to make sure that the pieces of art are at just the right temperature?
Of course they do.
Of course. I mean, of course, you know. Now, they have tons of events. They have all kinds of things going on. They just recently had, they call it date night at the museum. They have this several times a year. And so I was like, who could I turn to, you know, put together a great date night plan, you know, and maybe come up with a suggestion of either where to go for happy hour before or dessert after? Who could I ask? Ah, yes, and B, the foodie. Yes, exactly. Which sounds like it is the perfect segue to our next segment, Yummy to the Tummy. All right, Aunt B, take it away.
Okay. So a little pre-yummy advice first.
Okay, go ahead.
So date night means different things to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the same. You know, you might be the young parents who are just looking for a little bit of a break away from the children. You might be a longtime couple who want to get together and have some intimate time where they keep their phones away and don't pay any attention to anything else but each other and talk.
Sounds nice.
Or there's such a thing as a solo date night. So what if you're not with anybody, but you just want to go out and treat yourself to a really nice meal that's not takeout and you didn't have to prepare? And you can go hang out at maybe a happy hour or a nice bar. And you know what? I found a place.
You did. I love all these suggestions.
I found a place that's got some place like that for everyone.
Bring it on. We got to hear this.
And it's not far from the museum. So if you want to do the museum and come see this gorgeous exhibit that we're going to talk about, it's right over here in Market Common. And it's called CK's Bistro.
Oh, good.
It's not Celia Klein, but it is Chef Kevin. And he's adorable and really good cook. Chef. I shouldn't say cook, right? I'm a cook. He's a chef. But the thing I liked about CK's is that there's a front area, right? It's open and windows, and you can do some people watching, a little bit of casual hanging out, dining. And in that front area, there's also a really nice bar, sleek, full bar, lots of chairs, you know, very nicely arranged for conversing. And then there's a back room, which is not a separate back room, but a nice back area that's a little more intimate if you have that nice intimate date night that you're looking for, and you're kind of away from the front door and away from the crowds. So you got it all at CK's Bistro. It's on Nevers Street in the Market Common. And the food is amazing. The brie wrapped in like a brioche phyllo and baked and raspberry sauce.
Oh my gosh.
One of my favorites. They also have great scallops, which is another one of my favorites. The seared ahi tuna, another one of my favorites. But there's something on the menu for everybody. You know, if you're a meat and potatoes kind of guy and you want that, he's got it. If you like a fish, you know, they've got that there too. And they've got a happy hour at the bar. I believe it's from 4 to 6, but it might be from 4 to 7. And he's open for lunch too. So sometimes you can have a date night. Sometimes you have to have a date afternoon, especially if you've got children. While they're in school or doing some other activity, you can always get some time together.
It's really great that they open, I think, at 11, if I remember correctly. 11. And sometimes, you know, one of your fave dinner restaurants, you're like, oh, that would be nice if I wanted to have a nice lunch. And they're like, oh, they're closed. I don't open, you know, until 4 or something. You're like, so the fact that they are open, and he does change his menu a lot.
Yes, and he's got specials. Really, really great place. If you haven't been there, go. Tell them that Aunt B sent you. And ask for Chef Kevin. He'll come out and talk to you and chit chat, and you always see him out in the restaurant talking to the patrons.
The servers are great there. It's very nice. And if you've ever been to Market Common, where they have the Art in the Park, that's all set up, it's literally in that area. If you're not familiar with, what is it, Nevers?
Nevers.
I did not.
It's just, Reed Street is where Barnes & Noble is, and where you kind of come into that main entrance, and Nevers is like 1 block down, like down behind Nacho Hippo.
Yep. Well, that sounds wonderful. I'm glad you had such a good time.
Yes.
That's a great suggestion. Now, I think that was one I would definitely, the only thing I have to do now, just one last thing before I enjoy this. Yeah, I'm going to have to find a date. That's all. No problem. But hey, we have planned this great thing. There are so many things to do at the museum. When we get back from the break, Liz Miller, who is the curator for the Myrtle Beach Art Museum, is going to be here. She's going to tell us about all these things that are available to the entire community to enjoy, including, wait till you hear about, they have the most unbelievable exhibit going right now.
They really do.
And I can't wait for you to hear about it. So we are going to dive in as soon as we get back from this break.
Did you know that all the pieces of art in the Myrtle Beach Art Museum's latest exhibit, A Lasting Impressions, are privately owned by individuals living right here in our area? What if you could own a spectacular piece of art? It's time to take your chance, literally. The museum is holding a very first fine art raffle. This is your opportunity to win 2 beautiful post-impressionist paintings by Eugène Bagarat, worth over $8,000. Only 200 tickets will be sold at $100 apiece, and the winner will be selected on the last day of the exhibit, September 27th. You can purchase your tickets in person or online at myrtlebeachartmuseum.org.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Coasting. Today we're joined by Liz Miller. She's the museum curator at the Franklin G. Burroughs-Simeon B. Chapin Art Museum, known by most as the Myrtle Beach Art Museum. Liz helps bring the museum's exhibits to life, including the current exhibit, A Lasting Impression. And she's here to help us understand not only what's on the walls, but how all of us can feel more comfortable walking through the doors. Liz, welcome to Coasting.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And the crowd goes wild. Okay. All right. Hey, before I want to start on the all things museum, I actually want to talk about you and how do you find your way into the art world to begin with?
Right. Well, I actually set it out in college to become a lawyer, but we had to take some core classes, and one of those had to be an art class. So I took art history, and everything changed after that.
Wow.
So fell in love with art then. And when I graduated college, I moved here for a fun last summer with my college girlfriends and ended up volunteering at this museum.
Oh, wow.
So that was my introduction to the museum. I worked here for about a year, went back to graduate school because I knew I wanted to become a curator. And this was my first museum position once I finished grad school. So I am very loyal to this museum. I love it so much. It's where I learned to put my skills to work. So
tell me about this fancy word, curator. I'm going to do this throughout the podcast, any kind of art lingo. What the heck is a curator?
A curator is a fancy word, like you said, for someone who takes care of the museum's art collection. We have a permanent collection of a little over 250 works of art. So I'm in charge of making sure that those artworks are always okay and in good condition. But I also book all of our temporary exhibitions for the museum. So I work directly with artists and lending institutions, so other museums, universities, private collections, to secure the exhibits. And then I actually install the exhibitions in the galleries.
So tell us about how would an artist go about having their works on display here, or maybe even having their own exhibit here?
Sure. Well, there are multiple ways that I find exhibitions and artists, but probably the best way is for an artist to submit through our website portal. We have a tab on our website dedicated to exhibition proposals. So artists can introduce themselves with their work and their biography and their credentials, and I can review them that way. Other times I just go to other galleries and other museums and see work that I am impressed by and reach out to the artists after that experience to see if they'd be interested in coming here. And a lot of artists just call and ask for an appointment in person, especially if they're nearby.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just think, oh, what a tough job. I've got to go to a museum today.
Oh, it's so hard.
But it is actually quite hard, especially, and we'll be talking about this current exhibit and the details and the logistics, because it's just so impressive. But back to, the people who are, one of the things we find when we have a podcast audience here, they tell us they have not been to the museum. So this is kind of cool that we're introducing people, and they may say, Celia, I'm just not really an art person. Okay. It's just not really something that, has been part of my, of all the things list to do. It's just not really on there. What do you want them to know before they visit?
I would just say, I think we are one of the friendliest, most unintimidating museums. Just come see us. We're like family here. The staff is so friendly. We rely so much on our volunteers, who are normally the first people that greet you when you come to the museum. We are, in the big scheme of museums, a small museum. So we're very approachable. You can come in and spend 20 minutes if you run through everything, or you can stay for hours. So we would just love for you to come and meet us and just spend your time here to become inspired, to just get away and learn some new things while you're here.
Well, we at part of the Coasting Podcast family, we love this building. We love the tea porch. It's such a unique, it's kind of enveloped in these lovely trees. So the building itself actually has kind of a unique story. And without going into the entire history lesson, can you tell people about the structure? And it almost looks like an old beach house.
Absolutely. Well, that's because it is.
Whoa.
Yeah, this was one of the original big beach houses built in Myrtle Beach. It was built in 1924, and it actually sat about 8 miles up Ocean Boulevard from where we are now, north, I should say. Right on the beach. It was Front Beach. Now we're across the street from the beach, but it was right on the beach, and it sat next to this really amazing luxury hotel called the Ocean Forest Hotel, which is no longer extant. But it was built by a textile magnate family, the Cannon family. They had textile mills in the upstate of South Carolina. And then it was passed down to another big textile family, the Springs family, Springs Industries. So they would often let their top employees use the house for family vacation. So we get lots of visitors coming through who say, oh my gosh, I used to spend time in this house. This was the dining room. This was, the kitchen. And upstairs, our second floor galleries are where the bedrooms used to be. So you can see where the dormer windows once were. So it's got this wonderful intimate feel to it and a great history. It was moved here to this new spot in the 80s. It was going to be torn down for a new high-rise construction, but a group of local artists and art enthusiasts saw the potential in this building as an art museum because we didn't have one. So they fundraised, found a new location for the museum, and then this house took a 5-day journey, 8 miles south from where it once stood to here. And then we finally opened our doors in 1997.
And if that sounds very cool as a story, there's an actual book that was written about that journey and this house, the villa.
That's right.
And so guess what? It's in the museum gift shop. So one of many things in there. But again, I think it's such a great story, and it is such a beautiful, and it has such character if you walk through it. And for those of you who continue to look, behind us, that's right. That's the gorgeous Atlantic Ocean right there. And if you happen to know about your local piers, that's the Spring Made Pier. Same family that you heard about that had this house at the end. Same family. So isn't that kind of cool? So we really want to talk about the reason we're doing this right now is because of this exhibit you have running right now. Goes until basically the end of September, called A Lasting Impression. For someone who has not heard about it yet, let's start with that. What is it?
Sure. Well, A Lasting Impression is a special opportunity for, I think, Myrtle Beach residents and visitors alike because of the caliber of the art that we have in the galleries. It's something that you would normally see in a big city museum like the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. So we have Impressionist artwork, European drawings and paintings from the late 19th century all the way up to pretty contemporary Impressionism. But the whole theme behind the exhibit is what kind of impact the original Impressionist artists, you might think of names like Claude Monet, Edgar Degas, Pierre-Auguste Renoir, those big power names, how they changed the landscape in the art world and really opened the doors for modern art. So it's very much about the impact of Impressionism.
It's so funny. I feel like here at the Coasting Podcast, our last episode, we were giving you the power words in the world of meteorology. Now, look at this. We're changing gears and we've got the power artist names. I love this. I mean, and that's the crazy part to me is that, in talking to you about how did this exhibit come about, that's when I learned these art pieces that we're seeing in here of these Impressionists, the pieces of art were already here in our area. Tell me about it.
Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity. So yes, all of the works that you see in the galleries were borrowed from local private collections, which is just amazing. And since I've been doing this job for 14 years now, I've had the opportunity to visit many private collections up and down the Grand Strand, and you all would just be astonished about what we have here from Georgetown up to Little River and as far inland as Gallivant's Ferry. It's just incredible what you can find. And I wish I could tell you more, but most of these people want to remain anonymous. So,
and that's because I'm sure you own several of the pieces here in the audience, right? I'm sure so we're just going to keep that quiet. Right?
Yes.
So, when someone hears the word Impressionism, they might be like, I am sure from art class, I'm supposed to know what that means, but I'm sitting here going, I don't know. So Can you help do a little art lesson for us?
I can. Well, just to keep it simple, Impressionism started in France, mainly in Paris, in the 1870s by a really small group of artists, ranging from about 10 to 30 different artists. And up until that time, the structure for artists to become successful was very rigid and very conservative. You had to attend the fancy École des Beaux-Arts, which is French for School of Fine Arts, and you had to exhibit at their annual salon, which is a fancy word for exhibition, right? And that is how you got acclaim, and that is how you got success. But you had to paint in a certain way. It was a traditional way of painting. The color palettes were very muted and dark, and the scenes that people wanted to see were historical scenes or allegorical scenes from Greek mythology or scenes from the Bible. And everything was sort of based around being precise with your composition and how you paint everything realistically. Well, this group of painters that became known as the Impressionists, they just wanted to rebel against that and say, let me express myself my own way. So there was this focus now on capturing modern life instead of focusing on history and the past. They wanted to capture everyday life, and they wanted to do it in everyday life. So something that emerged was painting plein air, which means painting outside. So what was invented during this time were tubes of paint. We take that for granted today, but they didn't have a way to really transport paint to paint outside easily. So now that was on the scene, they could go and paint in the city streets or in the countryside and capture the effects of light and atmosphere. So it was less about getting it precise and more about capturing the environment.
Do you want to use this as a show and tell here, just to kind of give an idea of just what a big difference that would have been?
Here's a painting that's in the exhibit. This is a print from our gift shop by Ludovic Piet was his name, and it's called Siesta in the Shade. And you can see the vibrant colors, the bright green, the dappled light, and these sort of limey yellow tones all across the painting. And if you could get up close to it, you could see the faces are not well defined, but we know that those are women and that they have faces. It was more about capturing all of that light and what it must have felt like to be there on that day.
And so what I love is that, the museum has taken this particular piece and kind of made it the highlight, the spotlight of the exhibit itself, and kind of shown it in different ways. As you first enter the exhibit, a version of this is on the wall, right? But then isn't there something on your stairs leading up to?
Yes. So the version that you're talking about on the wall is a hand-painted mural by a local artist, Laurie Dauphin. It's just beautiful.
That's awesome.
And then on the steps, we have painted a mural that's a detail of this painting. So you'll notice that when you come in the front door, you'll walk up the steps with this mural in front of it. And that was completed by our education coordinator and volunteers. It's pretty amazing.
That. So you really just get everybody involved in the hype of this, and which you should. One other one that I have to show you guys. It's a little warm in here, so let me use my my fan. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. I think that's so cool.
And a lot of the artists in the Impressionist movement, before they went to the School of Fine Arts, they would get their starts painting designs on ceramics, but also on hand fans.
Oh.
So that's a fun little souvenir from the exhibit.
Because that's one of those, it just sounds like, I just immediately think organic social media. You're going like this, and then someone's like, where did you get that fan, And then before you know it, your works are in a museum. Is there a piece in the exhibit that you in particular find, either that when you, put it on for viewing, that it was like, almost like took your breath away, like, I cannot believe this is in our museum?
Oh my gosh, so many of them, mainly because you hear the names associated with them. Of course, the artwork is beautiful, but then when you think about the fact that Renoir's hand made this, it's just awe-inspiring. Mm-hmm. Cannot believe I'm standing in front of this in little old Myrtle Beach Art Museum.
Right. Yeah. Not so little anymore.
Right.
Huh? Now, in terms of the visitors you've had thus far, is there any particular one that they say, I'm here to see this particular either artist or piece of art?
Maybe so. I don't often hear the visitors' comments, but what I have heard from our volunteer receptionists is that people walk out of the exhibit and they're just floored by what they've seen. They didn't expect to see the different artists that are represented in the show. So I think it's just a combination of all of it together in this place.
So I want to go with another big word before we head to break so that all of our audience and our listeners, it's a type of painting that Impressionists do. And I think is it called Pointillism? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is that?
So Pointillism developed a little bit just following the Impressionist movement, which really only lasted about 12 years. And then after that, all of these Impressionist artists started branching off on their own to create their own new styles. And one of those was Pointillism. And the leaders of that movement were Paul Signac and George Seurat and Henry Cross. And a pointillist painting, instead of using brush strokes, they're using dots of paint. So when you stand up very close to it, you may not recognize what you're seeing. It just looks like a bunch of dots. But when you stand back from it, an image appears.
So now when you bring your friends to the museum and you see some of those works of art, now you can act like you totally knew what it was all the whole time, right?
You know the big words. Yeah, the power words.
I'm here to help people. I'm here to help, okay? All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the other things that the museum has to offer. And let me tell you, if you need something to do when it's hot outside, guess what? They've got all kinds of stuff available. We'll be right back.
Has your teenager officially declared that they are bored with the summer? Let's introduce them to something a little different. On Saturday, August 22nd, is the last summer session of the Teen Art Program, held at the museum from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Participants of this session will create 3D food sculptures using paper and stuffing. Sounds like you might have found something to keep them off their phones. The activity is free for members and only $15 for not yet members. You can register online or call 843-238-2510 for more information.
All right, we are back, and we talked about, that we really want to make sure that our community knows this is here and takes advantage of the many things that are offered. And so, if you have somebody who is just coming in, they don't know a thing about art history, how would you encourage or recommend to them that they, walk through here and just take in what they're seeing?
Sure, that's a great question. Well, I think I would encourage you to read. We spend a lot of time putting together information on our wall signage or exhibit labels. So we have a wonderful text panel that gives a great overview about the movement. And then each painting has a label next to it with, in addition to the title and the medium and the date, we have a nice little biography. It's concise, easy to get through about the artist. So that can give you some of the history if you're interested in it. But if you're not, that's okay. Just come and enjoy the artwork for what it is.
And I just saw one of the story. I think, it's really nice because it's almost like get curious, right? Because I think some of the stories, I just read one where the artist was in essence, prisoner of war in World War II for 3 years. And then after he's released, then he does, some of his best work. So again, I just think take one artist that you see that just, remotely interests you, and then just go home. And if they're, start diving in, read a book, whatever, just so that it can be something that is a little bit more of a personal, journey or research for you, I think.
Absolutely.
And so what if, someone's going through, and it's any art, whether it's the current exhibit or any of the ones that you have here, and they're all so thought provoking, and they're just kind of looking at the art and they're just like, I don't get it. What do you say when somebody's just, it's not connecting for them?
That's okay. You don't always connect with everything. That's why we find things that we really like. And those are the things we gravitate to. But I do think it's important to understand, even if you aren't drawn to something or you don't connect with it, or you think, oh, a 12-year-old could have painted that. You have to think about, well, there's a reason why it's in a museum. So I would just challenge you to ask yourself, what is it about this piece that gives it the opportunity to be in this place?
And I think, to tell people, almost look at it like you do music, right? You don't turn on, a local radio station or your Sirius XM and love every song that comes on, right? So does that mean you automatically turn off the, radio and never listen to another song again? No, you come back and you try and and you decide what your taste is, and the only way you can do that is to listen, and in this case, to look. So just don't give up if it's something that it's not initially something that brings you joy. If someone wants to bring in young kids, tell us about that. Is that it? Do you tell them to look at exhibits in a different way, or do you give them information that might be a little bit more for that age group?
Well, we have these wonderful scavenger hunts that we give out to kids, and I think that's a great way to get them engaged and actually really looking at the art by looking for things that they might find in the pieces. So that always makes them really excited. It also gives them something to hold on to if you're worried about your kid touching.
Right.
They're touching their scavenger hunt. So.
Yes, always helpful. Yes, stay busy. Right.
And we also offer wonderful classes and workshops for kids. That's something we really take pride in. Our education department, Nicole Miller is our education coordinator. She's a graduate of Coastal Carolina University, and she's so good with the kids. And we divide them up into age groups, so everybody's kind of at the level they should be. And we have classes for 5 to 7-year-olds, 8 to 12-year-olds, and teenagers.
Hold up. You mean you're encouraging them to do something other than look at a phone?
That's right.
I think that's fantastic. And I want to go back a bit because in talking about, not touching. And so here's, all these amazing exhibits. And I do see in the current a lasting impression that there is signage that says, don't get any closer, if you will, or, you got to be 2 feet away. But you do allow them to take photographs, which I find very interesting. And that's not just of this exhibit, it's all of them. So tell us, why is that encouraged and the owners of the art are okay with that?
Yeah. Well, it's always something that we ask whoever's lending the art, are they okay with the work being photographed? And most times they are, which is wonderful, as long as you don't use a flash. Yeah, you can take pictures of everything, which is great. You can even take a selfie with the painting if you'd like.
And now jumping back again to, you do so many different workshops. And so we talked about the ones for the kids.
Yes.
Let's talk about, somebody's just moved here and they're an artsy craftsy person.
Perfect.
Talk to me. What can they do?
Come see us. We have water classes for adults every Wednesday from 9:30 to 12:30. That class has been taught here by the same professional artist, Susan Duke, for 25 plus years.
Wow.
And it has a great attendance, and people love that class. And you don't have to have experience to come. You can be a beginner, but you can also, be an amateur or professional. She's a wonderful instructor. And so that's really popular. We also have monthly workshops for U.S. veterans. So that's taught by Laurie Dauphin, the same artist who painted the lasting impression mural that we were talking about when you walk in. So you can come, I think it's the third Thursday of every month. And we have 2 sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And every session has a new art making process. So maybe one month you're learning printmaking, another month you're painting, maybe you're doing pottery. So those are wonderful opportunities. Mm-hmm. And we try to, with each exhibit, if it's conducive with the artists that we're working with, provide sort of pop-up workshops in conjunction with the exhibits.
That's great. Now, as we, it's a multi-level building. When you come in on the ground floor, I'm seeing a sign that says Pottery Studio. I just think that sounds way cool.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things to do at the art museum. It got me to get interested in pottery, and now I have my own wheel at my house. Wow. So we offer pottery classes every day of the week, I think. Every day of the week. And they're taught by 3 lovely instructors. And again, this is a medium where you can come in without knowing anything, a complete beginner, or come in with a little experience. And it's been one of the most successful programs the Art Museum's ever had. It's so much fun.
Now, did I read, it's again, another one of those terms, lingo, when you start with pottery, is you throw clay? Is that?
You can throw clay. That means that you're working on the pottery wheel. So you actually throw your clay down on the wheel.
Glad I asked.
Very
I was
satisfying.
I was so thinking I was going to be throwing clay, and I was so glad you taught me that. That's good.
I mean, we could do that. Be a little messy.
So one of the reason why I bring it up is because now I progress into the different events that you have. Mm-hmm. And so, I think you have, is it twice a year where you just have this amazing pottery sale?
Oh, yes. Well, the big pottery bazaar is always usually in late November, and that's typically between 25 and 30 local potters. They all set up booths actually where we are now and in one of the accompanying galleries. And you can come and do your Christmas shopping and buy these amazing pieces that range from, small fridge magnets for a couple dollars to some really ornate, beautiful, big vessels. So there's really something for everybody. And
so I came for the one in the spring, and again, the pieces are of a wide variety. So let's just say I think I ended up with like 2 types of pottery vase for flowers. And there was actually a florist here on site that would create the arrangement for you and be like, ta-da, it's all done for you. Complete. Yes. It was so perfect. It was really, really nice.
Oh, I'm glad you got to come to that.
Yeah.
Yes, that was our springtime. We do a Mother's Day pottery sale where you can come and pick out a locally made vase. And then we have the flower bar, like Celia mentioned, where you can create your own bouquet.
It was great. Now there's so many events that you are involved in. One before Christmas, there's a one in the wintertime. So tell us about those.
Sure, we do. We have 3 main annual fundraisers. One that's coming up in early December is called FAB, which stands for Fashion Art Bags. And we host it every year at the Dunes Golf and Beach Club. And it usually happens on a Thursday or Friday night. We have a fashion show with local fashion houses. We have a silent auction of handbags and jewelry and spa packages. And it's just a really fun night to celebrate the museum.
I went last year. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And let me tell you, people get, swanky for this one, So, and the fashion show, of course, is representative of a lot of the local boutiques here. Mm-hmm. And it's so, so well done. And this is what I love about, she calls it a fundraiser. We're all calling it a fun night out, right? And that's the best way to fundraise, right?
That's right.
I mean, so tell us about the other ones.
So we also do in the early or late winter collectors event, which is another type of auction. We have 100 pieces of artwork donated by artists from all over the country, but mostly local. And there are 100 tickets sold. So if you buy a ticket, you're going to go home with a piece of art. It's a lottery system. They literally pull your number out of a hat and you pick the painting on the wall that you want. So the earlier you get called, the better your preference is going to be.
Now, I did not go to this one, but I've seen some of the footage because you guys are great with your social media. Talk about intense, you guys, because they can, in essence, see which pieces of art. So maybe, you come into that event with like your top 3 or 5. And if one of the numbers that you want, or, one of the pieces that you want gets taken before your number is called, man, I mean,
you gotta switch gears.
Them's are fighting words, people. Let me tell you. I mean, woo. But it's so wild. It's definitely one that I want to go to. And then, are you tied to? Is it an oyster roast or something?
Yes. We also do an oyster roast. Pretty close proximity to that collector's event. And that happens in downtown Myrtle Beach outside. We have lots of art vendors there. Of course, amazing oysters. And so lots of food and drink. And it's just a really fun live entertainment. It's a really fun event.
One of the things that I think, as we became more familiar because of our partnership with the museum, is just how much you are offering to the community, and they may not even know that it's you guys, right? And so, I definitely just encourage people to check this out. For you, if you are hearing that, somebody says, well, I didn't even know I was driving by it or something. How is the museum working on getting, the word out to be like, we are here for you, not just, a specific art community, but for everybody?
We really are. I mean, one of our mottos is art is for everyone. I mean, it truly is. It is healing. It's inspiring. And it's just one of those joys in life. So we are here for you. We're here for the community. We try to offer everything at as low cost as we can, free if we can. We had a free admission policy actually up until last year. So we truly are here to reach everyone that we can in the community. And because we're a nonprofit, our advertising budget isn't what we would dream it would be. So a lot of people refer to us as the hidden gem, which we love that, but we don't want to be hidden. So tell everybody, tell all your friends, and bring them here. We welcome you all.
And our podcast is all about helping people find their people, place, and pace. And I say one of the ways to do that, guess what? They need volunteers. And if all you have is 2 hours a week, guess what? They'll take it. So just know that there's lots of different things. Some of the people who offer the tours of the current exhibit, that's called a docent, they go through a training and they offer that here. So maybe that's a way that you learn about the exhibit is to go through a docent-led program. But I just thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about everything that this has to offer, whether you just pop into the gift shop and get a few things, or you actually just decide, all right, I'm taking the afternoon, and you sit in front of one of the pieces of art. Just enjoy it. Just, create your own lasting impression, if you will. And just, Liz, thank you so much for everything you're offering to the community.
Thank you, Celia.
And again, we are here to talk all different kinds of topics, everybody. So whether it is art, meteorology, music, shark tooth hunting, it's what we do because we want to make sure that you know all about our area. And when that conversation turns and you want to learn specifically about real estate, I'd love to help you with that as well. So just send us your questions. When you go on YouTube to listen to our episodes, go ahead and put in your comments and questions. And there is an actual live audience here. Can you hear them? Wow. That sounds like there are hundreds here, right? But if you want to be a part of that select audience, we'd love to have you. The email address, coastingpodcastsc@gmail.com. Let us know. We'd love to have you. Until then, keep it coasting.
Are you the podcast lady?
Oh, this is starting to work. This is starting to happen.
Well, I used to be a helicopter pilot.
No, thank you.
If you think that was big, we got something even bigger.
It's actually a serial killer museum.
Might I recommend you get Tony Danza?
The executive producer of the Coasting Podcast is Celia Klein. Producer is Michael Lehman, Frameways Visual. The opinions expressed here are solely those of Celia, Aunt B, and any special guests. Good news, agree, or disagree. You have that liberty. Special thanks to Liz Miller with the Myrtle Beach Art Museum. our Coasting Podcast Lab audience members, Shane, our server, and Chef Kevin at CK's Bistro. And let's give a coasting clap to Anthony. Happy birthday. And another coasting clap to Frank and Peg. Happy anniversary. As always, thank you to all the members of our armed forces and their families. May God bless you. Celia is a licensed realtor in both South and North Carolina. For assistance in either buying or selling real estate, please call 843-321-9646. The Coasting Podcast can be found wherever you're currently enjoying your favorite podcast. We appreciate your watching and listening. We love reading your questions and comments on air. Be sure to send them to coastingpodcastsc@gmail.com. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God.